folks, I wanted to give you guys an update on our house build and try to give you guys what has cost us so much. What do we put money in on things? How much each things cost? And I know some of this is not going to be exact for everybody. And, we're doing a Barndominium style. One of the things that made us cause us to do a little bit differently is we had to deal with the, pretty steep slope in our land. And this is where we wanted it. So we actually are doing a concrete foundation wall on the back of our garage. Now, on the back of the living portion of the house, and I might show a picture in here what the kind of layout of the house looks like. But on the living portion of the house, we actually cut that back and did around a 30-foot cutout behind there. So that was a lot of rock chipping that we had to do on the back portion of the garage and the back portion of the house to be able to have that openness back there. So let me just run through the numbers right here, right? And just kind of starting with, like our excavation bill and how much have we spent on excavation so far. Right now we are at $6,305 on our excavation. That included, getting in a high lift in here, the dirt and rock out of here. We also had to pay for him to chip as well. And that was going to be a little less than what I thought. We had budgeted originally for the excavation around $15,000. So, that was around $8,000 to $8,700 of savings right there. We have some tools. We probably spent around $4,800 in different tools that we wanted to buy, and that's just been odds and ends. So, if you've already got a lot of your tools, that's probably not going to be too bad of a thing. So grading and rock. So again, we spent around $2,000 on grading and rock. Now there's a lot of other rock that we bought, but I ended up putting that into our concrete work. So I didn't include that there separately. So, understand that that's a little less than what it would need to be. With the concrete that we spent so far is $24,512. That's mainly in our concrete pad, our labor for the concrete. That includes our gravel in there, and setting up for that. So that's $24,512. What we spent on the footers and the foundation is $27,000. So if you're doing a true Barndominium and you're just doing the pillars, there's going to be a lot of savings you're going to be able to save. But because we didn't go that route, and we end up doing a continuous footer all the way around this thing and a continuous wall, or like a little foundation step wall, or all the way around the perimeter of the building, that's what cost us a little bit more. But it was just going to be easier to get through our Cole County inspectors here in our area. So that was where we decided to go that route, just not to have to go through a lot of engineering and over engineering on trying to get that built. So again, our foundations and our footers, we spent $27,000. That's including all the labor, all the material that we need in there as well too, the concrete. So again, that's pretty expensive there. Looking at the next, plumbing. Plumbing for underneath the slab. We kind of estimated really high on this in here, but right now what we spent already under slab plumbing is $2,580. And so the rest of that money that we've got estimated is going to be all the above plumbing and all of the above grade plumbing that we have on there. And looking at our next thing, radiant heat system. So we are actually going to be doing a radiant heat floor. And that's where, if you look at the previous videos, you can see all the little tubing we put on there. So that included all the insulation, the 2-inch foam board insulation we put in there, and then it also includes the tubing. And then we also bought a boiler system. It's going to come in, actually it's supposed to come in this week, where it's going to be a plate, a board that it's going to be all bolted to, and it's going to have all the pumps, all the fixtures that it needs to handle the floor heating system and our hot water for our house. So it's all going to come pre-fabbed, and all we have to do is like screw that up to a wall and hook up our water lines to that and our drain lines if we need extra drains and electric. So that's going to be again, that right there is, we estimated around $20,000 for that, but we actually spent $17,912. And again, that's all the whole system. Again, that's pretty expensive, but we're looking hopefully that's going to pay back in the future, where we're able to lower our heating bill on our house because we're able to have that. And some of that's just insulation, so that's going to keep our house warm just by having the insulation itself. Okay, looking at the next item here is windows. So this is all the exterior windows that we have on the house. I think we had 20 windows on the exterior house. We budgeted around $15,000 on there, and we actually spent $13,301 on the windows. And again, we end up going with a local shop here and got some Gherkin windows, and that was going to be the better deal with the quality that we wanted on there. And we could have gotten more expensive ones, but we wanted to make sure we kind of save a little bit of money if we could, but not go too cheap. Okay, the next item we have is the door. So all the exterior doors, we have 5 exterior doors. Our front door is going to be a double door, and it's going to be 8 foot tall. So that was our most expensive door, but all together with all of our doors that we have, we've already spent $11,750. So all those exterior doors together, $11,750. So we have 4 other exterior door entries that will be coming into the house, and that's where, you know, kind of all that adds up together. The structure. So this is where we're actually, original plan was I was going to put up all the structure and I was going to handle the outside structure of the Barndominium. But because of my knee issues that I've been going on, I've had surgery back in July, and now actually with that, I've been still having some knee pain, and I just didn't want to, you know, hopefully, I didn't want to hurt it and hopefully not be able to, I didn't want to hurt it and not be able to finish the building. So that's where we decided to go and pay someone else to do this. So I'm hopeful this works out, because they were saying they're going to be in here in November. We're getting close to the end of November, and I figured that they might be a little late, but hopefully we get it dried in before we get to the cold of winter here. So, and again, we've already put a $6,384 down payment on that, and we're estimating it's going to be around $130,000 just to get the whole exterior of the building up. So that's going to be all the framing of the exterior walls. That's going to be all the porches built. You know, we have a really nice exposed gable end porch with like the crow's foot. You know, we're going to be putting on the front. We have the back porch. And we also have all the metal, the ceiling and the metal sidewall. So it's going to include all that, you know, to put all that up. And again, that's $136,000 total around there. And that's all we have on there so far. So far, you know, overall, you know, there's a few little missed things here and there. We spent around $118,000 so far on what we've been putting on the house, and we got an estimate what we're going to try to get to. I'm not going to say that estimate right now, but, you know, I'm hopeful some of these estimates that we did for like the electrical and the plumbing inside the house and some of the other things, that we're able to stay under budget on those things. And hey, if you guys have some tips or some things or places to get discounts on electrical supplies, you know, plumbing supplies, fixtures, you know, anything like that, let me know. I'd really like to try to figure out a best way to get a good deal. I don't want necessarily cheap, but we find some good deals, you know, especially if we're able to, you know, as we get farther along in the process and need to do cabinets, and we need to do, you know, any of the other lighting fixtures, and really looking at, and we're even looking at options for like not necessarily doing drywall and everything. You know, if you got some, you know, thoughts on, you know, putting some wood ceiling or a wood wall, let me know. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys following along. I'll try to give you guys updates every so often as we're going through this process to let you know how much we spent, and, you know, see if we're over budget or under budget. Right now, we are slightly under budget. We're probably around savings around $12,000 under budget now, and I hope we continue doing that. So until next time, God bless you all.